Elon Musk breaks down what he learned in Washington and what his time there taught him. Paul Barron asserts that digital assets are the only way out. We will play the video for them. There is also new information about connections that has just come to light. Of course, all of the latest developments and news concerning Ripple and XRP, including details on new partnerships and information, new digitization, and a wide variety of other Ripple-related updates. Before anything else, let's play this clip. You are in Palo Alto rather than in Washington, D.C. I am currently located at the Tesla Global Engineering Headquarters in Palo Alto. It's true. That means there will no longer be any Washington, D.C. You have returned to your place of employment. You are focused. It's true. It's true. It has been a long time since I visited Washington, D.C. The last time was in May. Okay, what would you like to talk about? What an incredibly difficult side quest that turned out to be. Have you taken away any lessons from your time spent in Washington, D.C.? The government is essentially beyond repair at this point. Elon, that's all. I have included David's commendable efforts in this. It is a positive thing to have individuals who are talented working in the administration. However, at the end of the day, if you look at our national debt, which is incredibly high, the interest payments exceed the War Department budget, which is now called the Department of Defense. They continue to increase. Therefore, if artificial intelligence and robots fail to resolve our national debt, we are doomed. Artificial intelligence and robots are the only things that are problematic. The issue is what everyone else is going to do. Do you agree? According to the numbers, there is a possibility that regular people will lose their jobs to artificial intelligence and robotics in the coming years. These figures indicate that 25 to 30% of regular people could be affected. What becomes of each and every one of those individuals, that is a conversation that is more complicated, and I hope that there are some exceptionally intelligent people in a room somewhere who are figuring that out, because I do not even want to imagine what that might look like or how extremely dark it could get. I would like to take a look at some of the information that is available here. For how much longer can the United States continue to put off dealing with this issue? You are aware that the amount of interest we are paying at the moment on the national debt, which is approximately $1 trillion per year, has increased. We collect approximately $5 trillion in taxes every year in the United States, and we are paying out $1 trillion of that amount. That means that 20% of that amount will be paid solely for interest. Therefore, if that continues to accumulate, at some point in the future, we will no longer be able to postpone dealing with this issue. With this in mind, my intention was to gather additional information about the topic. And here is that research. Given the current fiscal conditions, it is likely that the United States will be able to continue kicking the can down the road for approximately 20 more years before reaching a debt situation that is unsustainable. The consequences of nations ceasing to purchase American debt would be extremely severe. These consequences would include elevated interest rates, increased inflation, a recession, and significant disruptions to the global financial system. The delayed continued projections suggest that financial markets can tolerate ongoing U.S. deficits for approximately 2 additional decades. How much longer is this? The forecast is based on the assumption that markets anticipate that spending reductions or tax increases will be among the fiscal remedies implemented in the future. We have not actually done either of these activities yet. We actually prove it. We are not reducing the size of anything. Our expenditures in the year 2025 are expected to be higher than they were in 2024. You don't have to believe what I say. Those are the facts. The debt crisis could come much sooner than expected if faith were to erode. Therefore, if all of these countries that are accustomed to purchasing our debt in the form of treasury bills were to say that they are not interested in doing so, there would be a problem because the crypto market is not able to purchase all of the debt held by the United States of America, and this would cause the entire situation to collapse like a house of cards. That is something that we will be witnessing very soon. At some point, an enormous increase in inflation will make it so that no policy, regardless of whether it is a tax hike or spending cuts, can prevent either a technical default or a large-scale debt modernization resolution. This is because the national debt of the United States is not sustainable. What happens if there is a drop in demand from foreign countries, an increase in interest rates, a threat of a recession, and pressure from inflation, a weak dollar, market volatility, and a fiscal crisis? Furthermore, the XRP ledger and Ripple, the company, as well as blockchain technology, have the potential to assist the United States in resolving its debt crisis. Tokenization of debt instruments, increased transparency in financial transactions, and more efficient debt settlement mechanisms are all possible ways that blockchain platforms such as the XRP ledger and Ripple, the company, can assist the United States in addressing its debt problem. The XRP ledger is now actively used for debt tokenization, which means that traditional government bonds and debt can be digitized and settled on the blockchain. XRPL debt tokenization settlement is already underway. At OpenEden, you invest, negate the relationship that exists between BlackRock, Ondo, and Ripple, as well as OUSG. That is the subject that we are discussing here. The World Economic Forum has acknowledged the role that XRP plays in transforming financial markets, particularly with respect to improving real-time settlement of debt obligations, increasing liquidity, and increasing transparency. Tokenization provides the ability to hold fractional shares, increases market access, and facilitates secondary trading, all of which can entice new investors while reducing the financial burden on the government. The business known as Ripple has introduced lending and settlement protocols in the XRP ledger that are designed to automate and streamline the management of debt and payments, which could potentially reduce inefficiencies that contribute to national debt burdens. Blockchain integration and public finance are also involved in this process. The United States Treasury Department has already given its approval for XRP to be used for the settlement of a portion of the national debt. This indicates a movement toward digital assets and payment rails that are more agile and cost-effective. Ripple's technology has the potential to be adopted by the public sector on a wider scale by ensuring that transactions are faster, more secure, and less expensive, as well as facilitating debt management and public payments. Here as well, we discuss the stock market, specifically the Nasdaq's move toward the tokenization of those assets, and we also discuss who is responsible for settling the Nasdaq. Okay, it is the DTCC, isn't it? And as a result, I displayed all of this research for all of you. The people in the room who are grown-ups are these. The organizations involved are Ava Labs, Cardano, Clearstream, DTCC, Euroclear, GBBC, Hedera Foundation, Oliver Wyman, Ripple, Observer, and the World Bank. This is someone who is dead set on making significant changes to the financial industry. In the coming days, I would expect that these businesses would find tremendous success. All right, Fisal and positions were eliminated for 3,500 employees by ANZ today. One of the factors that allows them to do so is digital efficiency. Was it a good thing that they cut so many positions? I believe that the moment when we were able to demonstrate and prove that it was possible to achieve atomic settlement between two assets was the moment that everything clicked into place for us. Serves more than 8.5 million customers throughout 30 markets and operates within Australia's big four banks. Recognizing the importance of blockchain technology, we would now tokenize Australian dollars and use that to settle an exchange transaction. However, it was not until we had taken the step of tokenizing our carbon credit inventory and subsequently used our Australian dollar stablecoin to settle a transaction that was atomically instantaneous that we discovered that it was true, it could be done. The consequences for asset market settlement, asset market security, and speed and cost were demonstrated to exist. That is precisely the point at which we became genuinely enthusiastic about the potential that lies ahead for technology based on blockchain. To provide you with a little more information, atomic settlement and blockchain-based solutions are two areas that ANC has partnered with Ripple to explore. However, the initial focus of the integration will be on stablecoins, tokenization, and the efficiency of digital assets rather than the direct use of XRP settlement. The Australia and New Zealand Banking Group, ANZ, developed and launched its own stablecoin denominated in Australian dollars, the ASDC. This is a pretty cool stablecoin as it utilizes Ethereum-compatible smart contracts and interoperability protocols such as Chainlink for the purpose of atomic settlement and proof of cross-chain transfers. The utilization of Ripple and blockchain technology by ANZ, the Australia and New Zealand Banking Group, ANZ, was one of the first financial institutions in Australia to carry out pilot trials utilizing Ripple's technology in order to facilitate lower costs and faster cross-border transactions. Most of the blockchain integration done by ANZ, on the other hand, has been centered on stablecoin payments and smart contracts rather than exclusively XRP. The approach that they employ focuses on improving digital efficiency and increasing information about automobiles. In addition, tokenization is utilized to make it possible to immediately settle assets and to lower overhead costs associated with operations. This made it possible for processes like the recent atomic settlement of their $8 DC stablecoin to occur. And does it discuss whether XRP is directly involved in this matter? Although the integration of Ripple allows banks to use XRP as a bridge currency through on-demand liquidity, the majority of ANZ